Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on their road to success.
Hey, what's going on, world? We are back with you for another week of the Success Journey Show. This is Ricky Venters, and I'm here with none other than Marlon Matt. And Marlon, what's good, bro? How you doing?
Man, I'm having a great time. Just loving life.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking, man. It's we like to be intentional.
Yep.
And I've been thinking that we've been going through the podcast and we've been so excited about just sharing people's journey and everything else about the person that sometimes we forget to tell our listeners or subscribers what exactly we want or require of them to ensure that we make sure this thing gets to even a higher platform. And I think you have been mentioning some things to me about what you think we should do, and I just want you to share that, man.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you brought that up, and we just want to take the time to thank all of our listeners for joining us and supporting us along our journey. Like Marlon and I said, man, this is the journey for us too, and we're just so glad to be able to offer this content and just these stories of all these amazing people that have shared their journey with us so far. And we have so much more to come. You know, it's amazing, though. You know, I was talking to someone and just sharing our podcast with them. And they said, I told them to go on to iTunes and, hey, download it, subscribe to it. And they went on and they said, oh, man, you got a 5-star rating. I was like, 5-star rating? Like, what? I didn't even know that. I was shocked, man. I was like, wait a minute. I thought they were saying they're going to give me 5 stars. I'm like, wait, I said, take a listen first before you give me a 5-star. But they're like, no, yeah, you have 5. I said, wow, this is amazing. And then they're like, oh, man, you got 10 reviews. And I was like, oh, man, that's even better. And I was like, man, Marlon, but we're missing something, man. You know, we need to start sharing with people. Hey, you know, if you're liking what you're hearing, go on to the platform that you're listening to, whether it be Google Podcasts, whether it is iTunes, whether it is Stitcher or Spotify, yep. Right? Or any other platform that you're listening to, and just leave a review, leave a rating, share with us how the podcast has been helping you, has it been inspiring you, and also different ways that you want us to. Different topics that you may want to hear on the podcast. So yeah, we'll appreciate it. But we thank you so much for listening, and we'll appreciate just to hear your feedback, you know, as the weeks and the months to come.
Also, Ricky, man, I think a big thing that we haven't even pushed is our website, because you know, the successjourneyshow.com. If you go onto it, you can subscribe, and once you subscribe, it gives us a notification that you're actually subscribe to us. And what we could do is, what we plan to do is, we definitely plan to send out some newsletters and give you guys some events that we plan to do in the future. And like Ricky said, once you go onto our website, there's also a comment section on our website that you can comment even on the people that have already been on the podcast. You could comment or say what you liked about it, or if you want any more information from that particular person, and we'd be able to facilitate that for you. So it's a lot of interaction that we're going to be trying to engage in the upcoming different series and stuff that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the part that gets me the most excited is definitely on that Instagram part where our handle is Success Journey. The Success Journey Show. You will see where we'll ask questions. Hey, how did you like this episode? Do you have a questions for Tali? Do you have a question for Earl Campbell? Do you have any questions for Ryan? And you'll be able to ask them direct questions, and they will provide answers for you, man. So that's amazing. That's what I'm most excited to see in terms of interaction that we have with all of our guests and with all of our fans. So guys, man, we're looking forward to just hearing more from you. We don't want you just sitting there, listening back and laughing and all that stuff, which is great, man. We want to talk with you as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. So today, man, we're going to jump right into it. We have a great, amazing guest, a good friend, a brother of ours. We actually was a guest on his platform, STEM Media, and is none other than Dr. Nehemiah Mabry. Dr. Nehemiah Mabry is a structural engineer, STEM educator, and entrepreneur based in Raleigh, North Carolina. He has won national awards, has done research at NASA, and currently works as a bridge design engineer. He also founded STEM Media. STEM Media is a media company that provides inspirational and educational creative content for the science, technology, engineering, and math community. Nehemiah, you here with us?
Yes, sir. How y'all doing, fellas?
Oh, we're doing wonderful, man.
Great, man. We're doing great. How are you doing today?
Oh, man, I'm fantastic, man. Just excited to be here. Excited to be on the Success Journey show with too. I'm definitely a listener, so I'm happy to be on.
Oh, awesome,
appreciate
man.
it, brother.
We definitely appreciate you coming and just talking with us, man. We're looking forward to just jumping right into your story, man, and hearing a little bit more about you. So with that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man. So I'm just a guy, man, who really enjoys both the technical and creative sides of life. I currently work as a bridge design engineer in Raleigh, North Carolina. Design bridges, inspect bridges, analyze bridges for a living. I do that after having completed my PhD at North Carolina State University in structural engineering and mechanics. And so that's like, it's my technical field. But in addition to that, I have as you said, STEM Media is a platform or brand that I've developed for the last going on 7 years now. We provide creative and inspirational content for the STEM community, pretty active on Instagram. We do a lot of video production for schools and businesses and other programs related to STEM. And so I have opportunity to flex a lot of design and creativity in that realm as well. And so I'm just really seeking to blur the line really for my life and just really operate at that nexus of technical and creative. But beyond that, the most important things in my life is my role as a husband for 3 years, going on 4, and father of a baby girl with another baby on the way. So,
congratulations, brother.
Congrats, bro.
Yeah. Life
love it, man. You shared a whole bunch with us, man. I mean, that was a perfect summary, and we're gonna break this thing down because I know the first thing people are like a bridge engineer, inspect bridges, a structural engineer. What in the world is a structural engineer? What in the world have to do with bridges? Man, break that down a little bit to us. What does the everyday look like in the eyes of a structural engineer and focusing on bridges?
No doubt, man. So I got into it because originally I wanted to do something along the lines of architecture, but then I had kind of a stronger suit when it came to math, and so I went into civil engineering and specialized in structural engineering, and that pretty much means that we structure or we focus on the way like structures can carry loads that we placed on it. And so my internship and my work experience went the bridge route, but that just means that we're focusing on trucks and cars and every other transportation vehicle to be able to cross gaps in grade, which means that it could be a stream, it could be a river. Man, just building things out of concrete, steel being the primary materials, and making sure these things remain functioning. Because as you know, that's a big part of our country's prosperity. Our economic activity relies on it, and so I just try to play a small part in making sure our bridges that we drive across every day stay up and running.
Hey, Nehemiah, I have a question to ask you, brother. I was recently in Canada, and they're doing a lot of construction, and they're making the city of Montreal a lot bigger and more fluid when it comes to highways and stuff like that. And some of the bridges that were there have been there for eons, and they're trying to do new bridges. So while I'm driving on the old bridge, I'm looking to my right, and this is across the Champlain River, and I'm looking and I'm seeing them build a bridge from the water up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, what does it take? A guy like me is thinking like, it's so deep. So I just want you to help people to understand all the different things you have to go through to ensure that this bridge is 100% safe after it's built.
Hey man, I got a metaphor for y'all, and I'm about to drop a word for y'all. Here it is, man. The most important things, the most important part of a structure, you can't see. You know what I mean? The most important part of a structure is the part that you can't see, and by that I mean the foundation. And so here you are looking at things that come up out of the ground, things that come up out of the water. The most important part of that process is making sure you have what we call piles that are driven deep enough so that as the water flows or the wind blows or whatever else happens above ground, doesn't shake the foundation and keeps it standing tall. So even though you may have seen this thing looking over to the side, what you probably were not able to see was the fact that they were trying to make sure that there was a straight driven pile. And I'm not sure what you may have seen, but it could have been an intermediate support. It could have been, something else of that nature. But the first step is just making sure the foundation is deep enough. And here's the thing, get this, like we design bridges actually from the top down. Like we start with the deck, the part that we're going to drive across. Then we go down to what we call like the superstructure, which are like the beams and the girders. And then under that, we start talking about the substructure, which is like the supports and things like that, and then the foundation. But there's no other way to really build a bridge. We usually build it, in most cases, except for some abnormal cases, from the bottom up. So it starts with just making sure that, okay, we know where we're headed, but we got to start by making sure we have a strong foundation. And, what better metaphor is that for life and success?
Correct. Man. No. I would just tell you, man, because my son was in the car and he was looking at him like, Dad, what? And I was like, son, I can't explain it. I think they probably have floats down there. I don't know. They probably go deep enough to put it. I said, I don't know how they do this and the calculations that they had to do this. I said, it's beyond me. I said, I have some friends that are engineer. I'll make sure that I talk to them. And I was going to talk to Ricky and stuff like that. But yeah, you're one better than Ricky. You're actually a bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I would have been with the floaties. Like, yeah, man, floats on there, man.
Far off, man. That's definitely not too far off. They definitely have like some floating platforms out there that they take, and then they're like basically portable pile drivers. And I'm not too that extremely knowledgeable on the construction process, but they do go out on the water and have like a temporary platform, which allows them to drive the piles even below the bed of the water, the bed of the river or whatever it is. And so,
would it be correct to say that the higher the bridge, the larger the bridge, meaning that the capacity in which that bridge can hold, the deeper the piles or the more the larger quantity of piles have to be there in order to support that bridge?
Absolutely. Because here's the thing, the bigger the bridge, the more load that it's going to have to carry. And what we call, the level or the strength of the foundation, one of the things we design it for is bearing capacity. And so the bearing capacity determines how deep you need to drive your foundation. If you only expect to carry a couple of cars a day, then you don't need as much bearing capacity as if you were carrying, 4, 5, 6 lanes. You're in the middle of an ocean where you got to deal with stream pressure. You're out where a lot of wind comes, and so there are higher wind loads. So the more loads that are going to be hitting the structure is usually a function of how important or where this bridge is placed, and therefore determines the depth or the bearing capacity that's necessary to carry that type of load.
Man, that is deep. Man, listeners, I don't know if you are hearing this, because really I asked that question not even caring about bridges, but caring about life. And really, so let me break it down why I asked that question to him, right? Because you see people that have achieved a lot of great things. You see people that are in high leadership areas in life. I mean, you see VPs, you see presidents of companies, you see people that have their own companies. You see people that have started businesses, that are doctors, whatever it may be, high levels that you treat as at high regards, right? Judges, whatever it may be, right? But just like a large bridge that has the capacity to carry a lot of cars, has the capacity to carry a lot of weight, just like those same individuals in those positions, they have to be so grounded. Yes. At their foundations in order to support that, right? So, when you're thinking about, I want to grow, Dr. Nehemiah said to us, hey, we design from the top down. So we design knowing how much of a capacity that this bridge needs to carry. And we take that all the way down to the foundation. So we want this bridge to carry X amount of weight, then the foundation has to be able to carry that amount of weight. So if you want to grow, the secret to what he just showed is that if you want to grow to a certain level, right, you need to understand what foundation you need to set in your life in order to support the level of growth that you need to be in life.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Just to put a button on what I said earlier about the first thing about the word being that, the most important part of success is the part that the world doesn't necessarily see.
Correct. Yeah. That's what this show is all about.
Right. Like, you really got to dig in. It's those reps you're putting in behind closed doors. It's that studying you're doing when everyone else is asleep. It's that time that you're putting in to sharpen your craft that's really going to determine how high you go and how you're going to function in this structure that you're building of your career, of your life, or whatever you're trying to achieve success in. And so, the most important stuff is underground. The most important part is the foundation.
Thank you for listening to the Success Journey Show. Please follow us on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at The Success Journey Show. Also, check out our website at thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the show.
And we're going to unpack that too, because now that we understand where we're going with this conversation, Doc, I want you to, you just skimmed over and you just said, oh, I had, where I finished my doctorate and when did I start working here? But we want people to understand what you had to do when they didn't see you before you had that DR before your name. What did you have to do to arrive to there?
Oh man, I mean a lot. No different than no different than a lot of guys and girls that you all already had on the podcast. You all had some phenomenal. Their story and mine it's the same. I mean, I started college, kind of coming straight in, thinking that I was good in math, and then I found out that I was just all right in math. You know what I mean? Here I am trying to wrap my mind around Cal 2, Cal 3, and I'm just getting slapped every which way. Kind of find out, there are people who are really, really good at this thing. And so I made no bones about it. Found myself a couple of study buddies throughout undergrad. And even though I didn't quite always catch everything in the classroom, I always made an effort to try to go over stuff with people, in the dorm, during the study sessions. And you know how you try to ask questions sometimes when you don't even know what you need to ask. So I did a lot of starting questions. So this part right here, what would you say is, and just wait for them to start talking and then start listening. So I learned a lot of concepts, outside the classroom by just getting with people who I knew were smarter than me. And then once I got it, then it's just a matter of, all right, let me go through this a number of times. And I can tell you a story, man, really quick about how, this process of becoming an engineer, going through undergrad, going through my master's program and then my PhD, there were times particularly where I would get a grade back. And I promise you, I thought that it was a mistake. There's no way my grade in this class could be this low. I felt like I did better when I left the exam, right? I felt a whole lot better, but the reality check just kind of woke me up and said, hey, this level that you've been operating on up to this point isn't going to be sufficient for where you're trying to go. So I distinctly remember saying, all right, I'm going to study for this exam as if it's right after this class period. And then even though it may be 2 or 3 weeks away, I'm going to study as if it's right after the next class period. And so just really stacking one thing on top of another that really led me to being able to dig deep into the technical side and the technical education that was necessary to get where I was going. And then the graduate school is a whole nother beast, meaning the dissertation process, the research. And I don't know how much time y'all got, but I can just tell you for days, failure upon failure, and then rise up, and then, okay, I'm on a better level, and then you kind of lax off again, and then you realize that level isn't good enough. You rise again, and then you step back again, and you're like, oh, no, I got to keep going. So, man, it's just been failure without, what they say, success is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. And that has been a very good description of what my academic process was like.
Man, I love that. I love it. And, you know, Ricky, before you ask that question, because I always, like, Ricky and I are almost in sync, and I know he's going to ask a question out. I just want to say that I think that you have a lot of people that you, one thing they have mastered is understanding that they cannot be the smartest in the room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And because you understood that, you knew that, hey, I might not be able to do this straight in this class, but when I need to get with some people that can show me how to do this, and then I can apply it later on. And I love how you use that that you maneuvered yourself through your collegiate part of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And so, but tell us too, man, like, you know, it's one thing to say, you know, you fail over again and you keep going. But, you know, my son today, I'm teaching, they're training for indoor soccer, got them this nice app and like this special soccer ball that connects to an app, and you can do all the training indoors and stuff like that. And, you know, it grades you. So when you get after you get you do your training, they'll give you a A through a D+, right? So he's working on what is called the foundation, right? And he got a D+ on it. He kept getting D+ and D+. And I see him every time he gets a D+, he's breaking down. Like, he's literally breaking down. Like, I can't do this. Like, I like, man, I'm failing at this thing. I cannot get a higher grade. And like, what do you say? Cause I know what I had to tell him in order to keep going. And you know, he finally got over it. But what do you say to people that, you know, they're failing, and they're not seeing any type of improvement at all? And, you know, like, they don't want to give it that one more go.
Right. Man, I'm gonna say the first thing, obviously, is that you gotta self-assess and figure out why you failed. Because it's one thing to fail and then to give it another shot. But if you haven't informed yourself as to what your errors were the last time you failed, then you're really just going in blindly, and your chances haven't increased much. And that's really the same thing, to bring it back to my field. Like, whenever we would do tests, I had to do a series of tests in my research, my PhD research, where we would intentionally fail materials. And we would fail the materials and then look at it closely and say, okay, where did this fail at? Did it fail on the surface? Was there a crack that went deeper into the concrete? Was this manufactured correctly? And once you can determine what failed, then you have the variable, right? You have the variable, right, that you can then begin to adjust for your next attempt. So even though I didn't put enough, you know, epoxy on it this time, let me change the amount of epoxy I put on. So even though it's going to fail again, and in that case, it was supposed to fail again, I'm able to then kind of tweak things a little bit. And I know that I've been guilty in life of not assessing why failures have taken place, which has caused me to go blindly back into it again. And so that would be the first thing, Ricky, like, okay, let's take once we can get past emotion, because it is emotional, let's sit down and kind of analyze this thing and say, okay, why did it fail? What is the variable that I have a little bit more control over? That's definitely one thing I would say.
That's what happened to me, man. I had a fight with this guy. He kept on beating me up. I never assessed that I need to run. Golly.
Yeah, now, man.
I wish I had you by my side, man.
You have to get into those fights.
Oh, man. You'll learn today.
Yep.
Right. There you go.
But no, that I love that response, man. That right there is self-assessing, man. You know, it's one thing to fail, and failure, there's nothing wrong with failure, because like you said, you go through a process of purposely failing materials just in order to find how to make them stronger. Man, that is so loaded, man. And I hope you guys are getting this, but I mean, we're going to move on, but to purposely fail something to see how do I become stronger in my life, and doing it in a way to like really assess, okay, what is my fullest potential? What little corrections do I need to make over here versus over there? Man, to make yourself to be as strong as possible, man, that right there is just the beginning of understanding what it takes to be successful, man. So, man, anyone going through that, like, really just pause right now and, pause the podcast, put it on pause. Don't stop it. Just pause it and just analyze yourself, man. It's like, yo, why do I keep failing? What is it in my life right now that is causing me to keep tripping up over this situation? And really be honest with yourself. To have that conversation with yourself right now and say, hey, what can I do better the next time around in order to make this thing happen? Whatever that is for you, in your life.
And so a lot of people know that.
Go ahead.
And Ricky, a lot of people know, a lot of times they know what they need, but they're scared to either do it, apply it, or they think it's too hard. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes, like you said, just pause it, man, and think about, okay, tomorrow you want to be the fastest person, you got to get out there and run. You have to get out there and run and do some sprints, some wind sprints, whatever the situation is, you have to do that. That's plain and straight. So do like Ricky said, and I love that, Ricky, because I'm going to pause this and think about myself too.
So let's switch it up a little bit, man, because you also mentioned this event, this not new venture, because you've been doing it for 7 years now, but STEM Media, man. Tell me a little bit about STEM Media.
Yeah, so STEM Media, I can tell you how it started. It really was an effort while I was in grad school, going through the grind of research and so forth. I really wanted an outlet to continue to exercise my creative muscles, man. I used to do, some acting. I always enjoyed, things like music and creativity and things like that. So, okay, as I began to try to just flex that muscle and have that outlet, I was able to participate in this initiative to encourage students in engineering. And so I said, why not use this? This is a perfect thing for me. And so I entered this contest with MTV and Intel. At the time, they had this national Stay With It engineering campaign, and they commissioned all students to submit a video. And so I remember going to an event, signing up for it, and I just did this creative day in the life of an engineer video that I submitted. And long story short, I got a call from a guy from MTV. He's like, yo, did you do this? This is only for engineering students. Are you sure you're the one who did this? And I'm like, yeah, I did this. And what ended up happening is I ended up winning the national grand prize for that. And so I said, man, this is really cool. I was able to use my knowledge for engineering as well as my creative, interest and produce this. And not to mention it, I got a nice little reward for it, some bookstore credit, things like that. And so that opened up some doors where people was like, hey, can you make a video for our summer camp? Can you do this for our, our STEM program here and there? And so that was where it's birthed. I had more and more opportunities to apply my creativity to the world of STEM outreach, STEM education. And so from there, it became an official incorporated venture after people started calling it that. And I'm like, okay, I guess I need to make it legit. People are telling my business. I need to not make them liars and act stuff. And so I started doing that, man. And so I've been able to not only continue that, but win some other awards and partner with other brands and other universities. It's just been a wonderful thing. So it has grown from video production to actual workshops and speaking that I do on my own, as well as some hosted events we do in the area.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nehemiah and I, we have done some events together and of all sorts, and mainly doing some speaking and things of that nature. Now, what's the most rewarding thing for you through this STEM media in terms of speaking and getting the STEM message out to the world? Like, what's the most rewarding thing about that?
That's a good question, man. One of my quotes that I like to say a lot is that there's something inspiring about inspiring. And so, man, I've just found myself in this symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship, providing inspiration and in turn receiving inspiration. So I'm pumped when I go back into the office after I just spoke to a group of kids at a local elementary school, telling them they can do it. I'm inspired to go back and do the best I can in my particular work. So it's really inspirational and really rewarding, to answer your question, when I see eyes light up and when I see someone who responds to the message that I'm putting out, whether it's through a video, whether it's a public speaking event, or whether it's just a text that someone just says, hey, I saw you on YouTube. And because of that, I decided to go into this field of engineering and I'm about to graduate. And so, man, that has just been amazing because, again, that pours back into me and that inspires me to continue to inspire. And so, man, that's not a concrete answer, but I can just say, like, hey, the inspiration that I get from giving is the most rewarding thing.
Nah, awesome, man. Now, so tell me. Now, we talked about the I would say the corporate route, and you practice in engineering. Talk to us a little bit more about the struggles or even the adversities in terms of starting your own really business and corporation, like the entrepreneurial side. Like, I know that's a lot different than your journey in terms of going to school and everything's mapped out for you, what classes you got to take. Now you're on the entrepreneur, even including entrepreneurship, adding that to your life. Like, how is that? And then how is juggling both and doing all that good stuff?
Oh man, it's definitely a challenge on the time front. Just to be honest, because of course having a family, having at this point was still a full-time job and running a business all takes hours out of the day. And so it comes with, first of all, acknowledging what you have and acknowledging what is needed. And so there will be seasons where it's like, okay, I'm going very, very heavy on the business. And then other seasons where it's like, okay, I need to pull back and spend a little bit more time with the family. Or there are times where work may require a trip or overnights. And then there are times where work slows down. So it's really managing and balancing in and out of seasons. But specifically on the entrepreneurship, man, I think it's important. And I've learned that it's very, very important not to make it all about me and to really hone in on what are the needs of the target market? Like, who am I serving? Because at the end of the day, people aren't just paying you money to do what you want to do. That's not why they're paying you. Hey, I want to give you this. Invoice me so I can give you money so you can just keep having fun. That's not what they're thinking. They're saying, hey, what you're doing, which may be fun to you, is actually solving a problem for me. And so I had to really get to a point to where I understood business as a process of solving problems for people. And so there have been times where it's like I've been sadly mistaken, and there have been times where it's worked out perfectly well. And so I've grown through the process of being an entrepreneur and actually serving people.
So now with because what the dynamics of, sometimes you talk to somebody, they're just strictly an entrepreneur. Sometimes you talk to somebody, they're just, they go to a job and everything. But you doing both. How do you compare both, and which one do you like better if you do?
That's a good question. A very practical answer, and it kind of ties in. Like, when you work a job, you're still solving a problem. I mean, you're hired to do a specific role. But when you're working the job, you don't have the responsibility of continuing to find people who have that problem so that you can solve it for them. Like the boss or whoever's running the company or marketing or advertising, they're the ones who are supposedly bringing in the work. And as an employee, depending on your role, more than likely you are just performing the tasks that have been assigned to you. On the other hand, as an entrepreneur, you're more responsible for making sure that those jobs and those opportunities continue to flow. And you may have other people underneath you that you then employ and you work with to help solve those problems. But it's like one is a really good fisherman, and then the other is like a really good cook. So I've been able to see the whole gamut when you combine both the engineering and entrepreneurship. But that's what I would say are practical differences between the two.
Oh man, thanks for breaking that down.
Yeah. It's it's amazing, man. Because me as well. Stretching that needle and starting your own venture as well as fulfilling your roles in the corporate center. But I like the way you put it as the bottom line, you're solving a problem. And I think that's what as engineers, what makes you gravitate to be excited about the entrepreneurial journey, because you have a problem to solve, or you're trying to find problems to solve. We have that desire to find problems, like weird people. Like I just need to find. I don't feel good unless I'm solving some type of problem. So
I must be an engineer then.
Hey, you are, man. You don't realize it, man. You don't realize it, And and just enjoying that process of finding solutions for people's everyday problems, man. And this hoping and not just hoping, but being intentional about, man, making sure that this right here, provides a better life for the individuals that we're serving or the companies that we're working with. So, yeah, man, no, I appreciate you answering that question.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show. You can check us out on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Also on our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
So Nehemiah, man, what's next? You got your PhD. You're starting your venture. You're within your venture and your entrepreneurship journey with STEM Media. That platform is growing. Now, what's next for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually just looking to continue to inspire. And STEM Media is one of those ways that I found that, I could bring about a broader reach, just like y'all doing with the podcast. We live in a day and age where you can inspire somebody you've never met in person. And so even with STEM Media, we have the live show happening every Sunday evening on Instagram, but there are some other ideas for shows and opportunities that are in the works to put out and to continue to inspire people uniquely in the STEM field in creative ways. So stay tuned, man. I guess is what I can say. It sounds like a advertisement, but I definitely have some things. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but in the realm of media, that is specifically what I hope to continue to use as an effort to inspire people in STEM.
Awesome.
Perfect. Because the thing, just like the name of our show, it's the Success Journey Show. And we like to show people the journey because a lot of people, and like Ricky said, they look at you and they see you up there, just like you said, the bridge, and they don't know that at the same time you're widening your foundation because there's more that you wanna be able to pass over that bridge or you wanna carry on your shoulder. So we're definitely gonna want to see those different ventures that you want to go into, and also use our platform to propel them forward, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. And as you all know, whenever people see what we're doing, again, that's the part that they see. And remember that there's a whole lot of effort that went in behind the scenes. So will everything that I attempt this year and beyond be successful the first time? No. But whenever something is successful, I think we all need to just remind ourselves that, hey, this is a result of just sticking with it, staying with it, and putting in that work underground.
Yeah. So this is the last question we usually like to ask every guest. Go back to that little Nehemiah playing with trucks or building bridges with Legos. I don't know.
I did it all, man. No doubt, Legos. Absolutely.
Yeah. And knowing what you know now, what would you say to him?
What would I say to him? I would say, keep your imagination alive. Keep your imagination alive. It's an amazing thing, an opportunity, an ability we have as people to be able to conceive of something in our minds and to pursue it. And a lot of things that I've been most excited about and been most proud about are those things that started out as a great idea, and then I went for it. And then the things that I haven't been so happy about are the things that I decided not to go for. And so I would just tell that young man, hey, keep your imagination alive, and that imagination will continue to be the fuel for all the great things that you're looking to accomplish and will accomplish in your life.
Yeah, love it.
We're gonna have to bring you back, man. You got too many nuggets.
We haven't even touched, man. We haven't even scratched the surface, man. We haven't even scratched the surface. We're definitely gonna have you back on, man, to hear your progress, as well as this, man, to share more of your thoughts and words of wisdom. Before we let you go, man, how can people get in contact with you?
I guess I'll start by saying STEM Media on Instagram is an active platform for me. STEMEDIA, STEM Media, one word, one M. In addition to that, I have a personal Instagram, Nehemiah Mabry. on both Instagram and Twitter. And then I also can just go ahead and share my email as well. That's Nehemiah@stemmedia.org. My first name at stemmedia.org. Those are ways to kind of just reach out if you ever have any ideas, collaborate, a word of encouragement. I enjoy exchanging those, which is why I'm happy doing this podcast. And of course, Google is always a go-to for all of us.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Nehemiah, man. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate you sharing your story with us. We know there's so much more of your story that you haven't even seen yet, and we're excited for you and the journey that you're going on. Everyone, we have come to the end of another show, but we want to remind you to, hey, if you enjoyed what you heard today, please go and leave a review, leave a comment, go on our Instagram page, the Success Journey Show, and ask a question. If there was a question that we didn't ask of Dr. Nehemiah, so that we can get a direct response for you. But more importantly, man, we just want to hear from you. But we thank you and we appreciate all that you're doing in your space, in your world. And we'll see you next week at the same time on the Success Journey Show. All right, everyone. Have a good one. Peace.
One love, people.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.